And I know what it feels like to be in Florida because it was 100 degrees in New Jersey today, hence me wearing this shirt. What is up, Finn fans? Yes, today we are going to talk wide receivers. And this camp battle is probably one of the top camp battles. Again, I said quarterback is another because it decides and it's very important for the team. But this camp battle at wide receiver is pretty ridiculous. Why? Well, I'm going to talk about it. But before I get to that, again, you beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people decided to be a Patreon, which, again, don't ever feel like you need to, but I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Aaron Fox, $8 Patreon, and Mike Catania, a $4 Patreon. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon, bud. Again, joining the Patreon, you get to join the Discord with all the other Patreons talking Dolphin football with me whenever. So thank you so much, Aaron. Let's talk about some wide receivers. So this Miami Dolphin team going into training camp, hopefully going into training camp again. You guys are watching this on Monday the 20th. I am recording this on Sunday the 19th. Tomorrow, NFL teams are going to be having their rookies come in. The Dolphins told the team, just come on the 23rd with the quarterbacks and then injured people. Everyone else on the 28th. Going into this, the Miami Dolphins have 11 wide receivers coming in. 11. 2 undrafted. Everyone else has some experience under their belts. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the 11, but some of them I'm just going to give you a nice little whoop, quick little because we kind of know a good amount of these guys, but I'm going to talk about some of these guys that are battling, who I think is going to get in, a lot of this stuff, and then I'm going to get to one of you guys' comments of the day. So again, we have Devontae Parker, 4th in receiving yards, 1,202, 4th in touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. Starter, our big guy, Devontae Parker. You got Preston Williams, ton of promise. Undrafted guy, a little bit of off-the-field issues. If not, he would have not went undrafted. Came in, had a very good, decent, first half of the season. Unfortunately, gets injured. Sits the rest of the season on IR, but a ton of promise, and especially with him and Devontae Parker, this guy's a big physical guy. Then we have Albert Wilson. He took a pay cut to stay with the Miami Dolphins. The last 3 games of the last season, he had 11 yards per reception. He's coming back, especially in 2018. In 2018, where he had a very good season, you started to see him doing his thing. And then, of course, unfortunately, he had that hip injury, trying to make something out of nothing against the Chicago Bears. We got Jakeem Grant. Love the guy. Speedy receiver. Super dynamic. You can have him be just spreading the defense. Great kick returner. Obviously will help us win some games as a kick returner. Got to stay healthy. That's his thing. Allen Hurns, give him a nice little contract. 2 years he's got under the belt. Again, they can cut him though and don't need a lot of cap. Allen Hurns is a guy, he did well in Jacksonville for 1 season. We bring him in for nothing after he went to the Cowboys. Then you got Isaiah Ford. He had 92 yards, his season high against the New York Jets week 14. Isaiah Ford is a wide receiver that a lot of Dolphin fans have a lot of promise in, and they like him, but he keeps bouncing from practice squad to active roster. Then we got Gary Jennings, another wide receiver that we brought in from Seattle, another guy that's going to be competing. Ricardo Lewis, a 5th-year vet we brought in from the Cleveland Browns, another guy that's going to have to compete. Then we got Mac Hollins, a 4-year vet, another guy that we have competing. Then we have these undrafted rookie wide receivers. Now, these guys have promise. These guys are the guys that are going to be competing with Mac Hollins, Ricardo Lewis, Gary Jennings, Isaiah Ford, even some of these top guys like Allen Hurns and potentially Jakeem Grant, but mostly probably Allen Hurns, to make the roster. You got Kirk Merritt, undrafted free agent, extremely athletic wide receiver. I'll pop up the tweet of him doing this most ridiculous vert jump. He also recorded a 4.3 40. The kid is 6 foot tall, 208 pounds, right? Extremely athletic. He needs a little help in his route running, right? And the reason he went undrafted is because of a situation that happened at Texas A&M. I'm not going to really talk about it, but there was a little bit of a situation that happened at Texas A&M, and that's the main reason why he went undrafted. If it wasn't for that reason, he probably wouldn't have went undrafted, but then we probably wouldn't have gotten him. Undrafted guy, right? Super promising. Kind of reminds you of Preston Williams. Like I said, he's a big guy. He's fast. Reminds you of Preston Williams. Preston Williams had some off-the-field issues last season. That's the reason why we got him undrafted. Kirkmeyer is another kind of Preston Williams type person. Then the other undrafted kid is Matt Cole. He's 5'10", 197. He's going to be a slot receiver if he does make the team. This is the thing I like about Matt Cole's story, right? Matt Cole has a story where he talks about his draft day. And he talks about, he got a phone call, the 7th round was coming to an end. He got a phone call from Brian Flores, and Brian Flores called him, and it wasn't the call he wanted where he said, hey, we're going to be drafting you. And in the 7th round, we took Malcolm Perry. But he called him and told him, not going to draft you, but we want you as a high priority free agent. And essentially Brian Flores talked to him. He put all the cards on the table. He cut it straight with the kid and said, look, you're super athletic. We really like your play style. We think you'll fit in on this offense. We want you as an undrafted free agent. And that's what sold Matt Cole to decide on the Miami Dolphins, is the fact that Brian Flores is a straight shooter and said to him, listen, we're not going to draft you, but we like the way you play. We like your style, and we want you as a high priority free agent, right? So you might be asking yourself, hey, Matt Cole, what's going on with this kid? Well, he went to McKendree University, which has 2,499 students, and no NFL players came out of that college or university. College university. So that's a reason why he went undrafted, right? But 24 NFL teams sent scouts to go check him out, right? He ran a 4.4 40, and he has he's like incredibly good at the after the catch stuff, screens, slants, all that stuff. Really, he's ran a 4.48, but he's got that quick speed, that Jarvis Landry. He's going to catch it, take it up the field, and he's gone, right? So that's why Brian Flores probably was like, look, he's going to fit great in Chan Gailey's offense, especially with 3 wide receiver sets where you might have, 3 wide receiver set, I formation. You might have one, your slot receiver take a step back, catch the ball, have your offensive lineman go out there, have a wide receiver screen, especially with Matt Cole, again, if he makes the team. But he's going to be a slot receiver, right? So those are the 11 wide receivers that are on the Miami Dolphins right now. Now, the ones that are making it, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Albert Wilson, I think the fact that he took that pay cut kind of, solidifies that he will be making the team. And I honestly think that Jakeem Grant, I think those 4 guys are going to make the team. Then it's Allen Hurns, Isaiah Ford, Gary Jennings, Ricardo Lewis, Matt Collins, Kirkmeyer, and Matt Cole, who are going to be fighting to try to make the roster. So you have, right? I said 4 are definitely going to make it. You have 7 wide receivers fighting to make this team. 7. And I honestly think Kirkmeyer is going to make the team. I honestly think Matt Cole will make the team. I think the guys that you got to look at of potentially not making the team are like Ricardo Lewis, Greg Jennings. I could see Isaiah Ford making the team again. Again, they signed him to that future contract. So I think Isaiah Ford, I'll throw him in there. He'll be the 5th wide receiver that'll definitely make the teams. But like someone like Allen Hurns, Greg Jennings, Ricardo Lewis, and Matt Collins, right? Those 4 guys and the undrafted guys, those 6, I honestly think that, I think Kirkmeyer and Matt Cole are going to make the team, right? And if they don't make the team, if they go to practice squad, I think someone's going to grab them. So I think Kirkmeyer and Matt Cole is going to make the team. I think it's honestly between Matt Collins, Ricardo Lewis, Greg Jennings, and Allen Hurns who's going to get cut. That's my personal opinion. But this wide receiver core, it's deep. I think it's extremely deep in talent. But what has to happen, and I hear this a lot and I read this a lot, that the Dolphins are very deep in talent at the wide receivers position. But if you look at the wide receiver position, Devontae Parker had 1 good year. Fantastic year. 4th in receiving, 4th in touchdown, like I said. But it was 1. I need the man to duplicate it again and earn that contract that they signed him to. You got Preston Williams coming off an ACL tear. He needs to show that he is back to 100%. You got Albert Wilson, another guy who came off a hip injury. Yeah, he started off slow, but I need to see him go back to the 2018 Albert Wilson pre-injury. You got Jakeem Grant, a kid who can't stay healthy. You got Allen Hurns, a guy who, after that 1,000-yard receiving year in Jacksonville, hasn't done anything. Then you got, Isaiah Ford, Greg Jennings, Ricardo Lewis, Matt Collins, who. Like, if you go to anyone else on the NFL, like their fans or something, and you bring up those names, they're going to be like, who? So, yes, us as Dolphin fans that have watched these guys play and in-depthly look at them, it's a ton of talent. They just got to show it. They got to prove it. And this is the year to prove it, right? Chan Gailey's offense is a perfect offense for these wide receivers to prove it. And I think, like I said, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Albert Wilson, Isaiah Ford, Jakeem Grant, Matt Cole, and Kirk Merritt are going to make the team, those 7. I don't know how many wide receivers they're going to keep on the roster with him, but I honestly think Allen Hurns, Greg Jennings, Ricardo Lewis, and Mac Hollins are going to be fighting to make the roster. Now, you might be saying, hey, Allen Hurns, they did give him a nice contract. Yes, but if the Dolphins decide to cut Allen Hurns this year, they're only eating $800,000 in dead cap. So don't be surprised if they do. I'm not saying, he's got to compete. They all got to compete. But don't be surprised if he's one of those guys, because it's a $2 million cap hit with an $2,908,000 cap hit with an $866,000 dead cap. So if they do end up cutting him, they save about $2 million. So all of a sudden they go from having $13 million to $15 million. It's a big contract, and he needs to prove that he deserves a $2.9 million contract. So again, Allen Hurns, Greg Jennings, Ricardo Lewis, and Mac Hollins are probably guys that I look at potentially being cut or not making the roster. But, Jakeem Grant is a guy that, you kind of hear his name. He's going to take a $2.4 million dead cap if they try to cut him. 4.38 roster hit. Half his contract is guaranteed. He's not going anywhere. So, again, those are my 4 that I think are going to be fighting to make the team. I think the undrafted guys will make it. If I had to choose between the 2, I think Kirk Merritt will make it, but I do have a soft spot for Matt Cole. I'd like him to make it because I don't know if they'll make the practice squad. But be sure to comment below. Let me know. I want to know what you guys think of this wide receiver core, right? It's super deep, but it has to prove that it can be good. Also, I want to know, who do you have making it and who do you have being cut? I gave you guys my 7 that I honestly think are going to make it. Comment below. I want to know who you guys think is going to make the roster. And let's get to you guys' comment of the day. This comment comes from Greg, and Greg says, comment of the day. After all these years, can Miami finally stop the run and rush the passer? The addition of Van Noy, Agba, Lawson, Raekwon Davis, Strawbridge, Weaver has unrivaled potential. I agree. I definitely agree. Now, the Miami Dolphins, for a good portion of the past decade, have been very good at getting after the quarterback, but they haven't been very good at stopping the run, right? I got some stats here for you. I got our run defense stats, right? Now, from about 2010 till now, I would say the Dolphins 3 times have been, 1 time been middle of the pack, 2 times been top. Other than that, you got a lot of seasons, 7 seasons of just blech when it comes to run defense. So, Greg, I agree. Listen to this, right? I'm going to start from 2010. We'll start from, again, last 10 years, because before that, they've actually been pretty decent. The defense has always been pretty good. It was the offense that was always the problem. If you guys remember, we had Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas and Junior Seau and Sertain. We had fucking Joey Porter, greatness, right? So look at this. 2010, we were ranked 7th in rush defense. 7th. In 2011, we were ranked 3rd in rush defense. You're like, I would love that. I would love to be ranked 3rd in rush defense. That's fantastic. 2012, we were ranked 13th in rush defense. It started getting worse. You're like, what's going on? 2013, we were ranked 24th. Again in 2014, 24th, 2015. 28th, 2016, we were ranked 30th in rush defense. 2017, 14th in rush defense. 2018, we were ranked 31st in rush defense. And last year, not as bad, but we were ranked 27th in rush defense. It is exponentially important to stop the run. To me personally, stopping the run on defense it should be in a big, bold placard that says, do it. Stopping the run helps the defense with every other aspect of the game. You stop the run, you make that offense become one-dimensional, right? All of a sudden, they got to completely change up the type of scheme, and they got to completely change up how they're going to move the ball, because if you just become one-dimensional and you just pass, you have your defensive ends, you have your blitzers just pin their ears back and get after that quarterback. And all of a sudden, you start to see the sack percentages, and you start to see those numbers start to hike up because you're just forcing them to pass. Look at the Miami Dolphins last year. We couldn't run if our life depended on it. And you saw how much the offense struggled to move the ball because you got to move the ball with the run. You got to keep that defense honest with play action and stuff like that. Stopping the run and running is fundamental in football. It's the number one thing. You run the ball, you stop the run, you're a winning team. If the Miami Dolphins have a top 5 rushing offense and a top 5 rush defense, they're going to probably have a winning record. Now, like I said, there's, what year was it? 20. Well, top 5, I said, because 2017 we have a top 5, but look at 2011, we had 3rd, and we didn't do too good in 2011. And in 2010, we had 7th. So, yeah, it's extremely important to be a very good run-stopping defense. And like Greg said, adding the addition of Kyle Van Noy, who's very good at running. He's a very smart linebacker. You get Ogbah and Lawson. Hopefully these guys can set the edge, because that is the biggest problem we've had with our edge guys, is setting the edge on the run and don't have these runs go to the sidelines and break it off. Raekwon Davis, hopefully he can go back to 2017 form and just blow up the middle. Strawbridge, Weaver, again, potential guys that could just help stop this run. Yes, incredibly important, Greg. Like I said, the defensive front and the offensive line front are beyond important to football. And I've said it, and I'll say it again so you can sound clip this. If the Miami Dolphins have a top 5 offensive line, if the Miami Dolphins have a top 5 defensive line, I don't know how you'll measure how their offense and defense, let's say sacks and run defense, and let's say rush offense, and I don't know how else you would measure offensive line being top of everything. The Dolphins are going to have a winning record and win the division if they have a top 5 offensive line and defensive line. It just is what it is. It's crucially important for the trenches to win in football. But Greg, thank you for the comment. I really, really do appreciate that, and I appreciate all your guys' comments. If you do want to be part of comment of the day, just put like Greg did and some of the other guys I picked, comment of the day, so I know when I look who wants to be part of comment of the day. And necessarily, it doesn't really need to be a question. You just have a comment, say, "Hey, Doug, blah 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 blah," and I'll react to it if I pick it. But again, Greg, thank you for comment of the day. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. Have some very good conversations with you guys on Twitter. I like to bust some of the opposing teams' balls on Twitter. If you guys remember, I think last week I was having fun with Bills fans because they got really butthurt over the fact that Josh Allen is one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the league. So, I have fun on Twitter. So be sure to check me out on Twitter and Instagram. Fan to Fan Network. Website's up. Website's running. I have it linked below. Again, it's in the description. If you don't know where the description is, it's the title, and then below the title is the description. If you can't see it, there should be a little arrow. You push it, whoop, description pops up. I have all my stuff in there, my Twitter, my Instagram. The merch is below already, but the Patreon, all that stuff is linked below. My P.O. box, all that stuff. But Fans of Fan Network. Check out DolphinsTalk.com. A very good site. All Dolphin content on there. But other than that, I will see you guys Wednesday. We're talking offensive line. I said to you guys I'm not talking tight ends because besides Gesicki, there's no one else. So, Gesicki's the starter, and then everyone else is kind of... So Wednesday we're going to be talking offensive line. Then we go to defensive line. Then we go to linebackers. Then we go to safeties. And then hopefully we're at training camp. So I think if I do my math correct, we'll be at training camp by the time I'm done. Well, other than that, I'll see you guys Wednesday with the offensive lines. Unless news breaks or something else breaks, then you'll get another video. But I'll try to get it in there. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.